Welcome back to I'm Every Woman TV. I'm your host, Janette Burke. And we're just about to start our second segment today with our second guest. And it's all about when you're not able to communicate with your partner or your coworker and you don't feel accepted and the problems that creates. Welcome, Lorraine Weygman of Weygman Consulting. How are you today?
Oh, wonderful.
Great. You're looking good.
Wonderful.
You're looking great. Lorraine, you've had a very interesting background. Before you became sort of what you're doing now, which is you're a coach, you're a trainer and a team builder, helping people eliminate conflict and communicate better in their life. What brought you to this place?
It seems to me my career has always been doing that, and I tend to want to do that naturally. I started out as a 19-year-old teacher where I was helping children to learn and to communicate. And finally I grew up and decided to go into the business world because I had been working a lot with stressed people, stressed children, stressed adults, and had done work with stress management. So I went out into the business world and began working with stress. And then I noticed that people were really struggling with dealing with change. And it's not that people resist change, it's that they fear it because they don't know what's going to happen. And I had seen a lot of this going on anyway. But varied career, yes. I owned a franchise in Latin America, which didn't seem to make sense to most people that knew me. But as a woman, sometimes we just have to take the kind of risks that, as long as we have support from people. But now I'm working with helping people to make decisions and to see how they think and help them to understand that because people think differently, they act differently, they make decisions differently, they decide what to choose differently, and we need to understand each other better.
And so how do you really help people understand each other? Because I know that you have a process, and the process involves really understanding and accepting a person's, I guess, personal traits, the strengths of one, the weaknesses of another. How does it interact, and how do you really help people, get clear on how we can actually be assets rather than foes to each other, or irritants?
Well, I think part of it had to do with my own growing up. It seemed to me I was thinking differently than most of my friends. And a few years ago, I became aware of the idea of how people think is different and how they make decisions. So I found out about it, and there's a profile that we have now. And when I took that profile, I realized that I was always told I was wrong. Oh, you're wrong, you're thinking wrong. And I realized I wasn't wrong, I was just different. And in order to be different, so I was an asset actually to the people who were telling me I was wrong. And that was personally revealing, and it was freeing, because suddenly my spirit soared like I'm okay. And I thought, I'm going to help people to see how okay they are. And in relationships, because there are differences, if people understand the differences can be assets, then you're going to have better relationships. People are going to work together better. Their marriages will work better. Their friendships will work better, and they will help each other.
Now, how do you help them understand what could be an asset? How do you work with the different personality types and make them understand what could be an asset so that they can have this cohesive existence?
Well, if I'm coaching people on one-on-one or couples, or if for that, I'll give them the profile and let them see how it's a thinking style. It's not about personality. It's just about making decisions and solving problems. And so once they see their differences, then I explain one person thinks this way and this is their strength, And
could you
the
give
other
us an
one is-
example of that?
Sure, I
Okay.
can give you an example of the types. One type's an innovator, and nowadays innovation is what businesses need in order to survive. So that we need the innovators. They're the people who think ahead, and they'll think, what if? So if everything is fine, they're the ones that'll find problems in order to search out what can be changed. I think the company Apple had that, and they were leaders in many innovations. Then you have a person who looks at that person and says, what do you mean? And that's the person that asks a lot of questions. And they also are, those two will think of alternatives. So Janette, if you said to me, Lorraine, this can't be done. It's because these are the people who think in options and think in possibilities. They dig deep and deep and deep and until they're really clear. And then you have the third type, and the third type is the kind that says, okay, so now we have all the data we need, as much as we can gather. We've done the research, we've asked all the questions, we've got the problem. Now we figured it out. How do we run it through so that we can make it happen? The solution. So now you've got the solution people, and then you've got the person who implements, and they're the ones that want to implement. One of the problems is if you have someone who is an implementer and they hear an idea, a great idea, they want to implement it right away. What's the safeguard? The people that ask a lot more questions, because then they have more facts before they make a better decision.
And I can see that this would work extremely well, in a team building setting for business or for corporate. How can we transcend that and make it work in a marriage too?
Well, an interesting thing happened to me last month.
Or not, or just a dating partnership or whatever.
Well, actually, we did some profiles for a large group of people. And one of the women in the group, when she saw hers, and she read about the others because they get a booklet that explains it all, and I will do either a workshop that just explains all this and helps them. And she took a look, and she's looking at it, and she says, oh my God, now I understand my husband. Because whenever I'm trying to make a decision and I make it really fast, he slows me down, or he has to think about it. And I followed her up with that a few weeks later, and I said, so how's it going now with you and your husband? And she says, it's helped our marriage, it's helped our relationship, because when I thought he kind of dragged himself and took so long to make a decision, I now realize that he's bringing more information to us, and that although I want to do it right away, he thinks more deeply, and that gives me a better decision. On the other side of it is, that type of person doesn't necessarily want to get things done. They like to think about things and process. So he needs her to get it done, and she needs him to ask. So there is the difference, how people are different, and in the workplace, the same thing happens. The different types don't necessarily appreciate each other, and it creates conflict.
Right, and how can you specifically help them shift their thinking so that there isn't any more conflict, or you can eliminate some kind of stress, so it's making our lives more happy, more joyous, and more cohesive, personally and professionally.
Well, first of all, awareness.
Awareness.
Right? When people are aware, so they need to be taught to be aware. Secondly, they need to listen to each other. Third, they need to understand each other. And when people work together, what happens is the teams function better. The innovation can happen because you're getting more information, you're getting more support. There's more joy in the workplace, if it's workplace. Leaders can lead differently, because there's a different kind of culture in the workplace. It actually can help make the culture a happier place as well.
So, and a team effort really is about, I think, understanding and respecting each other and what they bring to the table. And the funny thing is, we sometimes don't realize this, but we think of teams, you know, in sports, we think of teams in the corporate world, and partners, life partners are also a team. They work in tandem. So I think I can see how this would really benefit them all. So we're running a little short on time. I want to make sure that we get a few things mentioned. So first of all, your website. You are a coach and a consultant and a team builder trainer in these specific areas. So how do we reach you, Lorraine?
You can reach me by my email, lorraine@weygman.com. You can reach me at my website, www.weygman.com, WEYGMAN. Telephone 416-630-6423.
And you also have a really good giveaway today for our viewers who are having trouble being respected and being understood and communicating with their partner or somebody in the office or whatever, or who they're working with. This could even apply to business partners. And that giveaway is a thinking style audit, which is directly applicable to what we've been talking today. It's a thinking style audit. And to claim it, and it's worth $240.
$250.
Sorry, $250. $250. It's worth $250. It's 1 hour thinking style audit with Lorraine. And to claim it, you need to be the first one to call me during the live broadcast now at 416-802-0655. 416-802-0655. If you're having trouble feeling appreciated or respected, as a lot of women do, or you're not feeling heard or understood, and this is bothering you in any kind of relationship you've got going on in your life, this is a great thing to have. It's this think style audit. You'll probably discover more about yourself than you ever thought imaginable, and you'll discover a lot about the person that you're in team play with that you probably didn't know. And once you know that, you'd have a different appreciation for them, right?
And you learn a lot about yourself too.
Right. I just said that you would learn a lot about yourself.
By yourself.
So we have to wrap up, and there's one last thing I wanted to ask you, which is how can a team take more risk, and why would they want to take more risk? What is the whole thing about risk?
Risk really depends on the culture, the workplace culture. Mm-hmm. Inspiring leaders create inspired cultures, which create inspired people, and that kind of workplace is where the most risks are taken. So it really does depend on the leadership style. If you have that type of style, it's nurturing. People can take a risk, and then they know that if it fails, they're not going to be removed from the workplace. Cooperation, understanding each other, and for leaders to give the people that they know can take that opportunity. So again, it's trust.
So we've got some great tips here from Lorraine Weygman of Lorraine Weygman Consulting, or Weygman Consulting. And we hope that you'll apply them and call to win her giveaway, or visit her website at www.weygmanconsulting.com. And we'll be right back on the other half of this break with our third guest today. For those of you who might be getting a divorce or common law separation, and are having trouble dealing with the various elements of that, from emotional to whatever. We'll be right back to talk with divorce doula Lynn Kaplan. And in the meantime, please tweet, talk, tell us everything you'd like about I'm Every Woman TV. We love your feedback. And don't forget to hashtag I'm Every Woman TV. And we'll be right back after this short break.